Hi everyone, it's Cara from Enchanted Vines, and today I decided that instead of doing a wreath, let's do a hanging basket of florals, okay? So we are going to get going. Alright, so instead of using my easel today, we are going to go with this stand just to keep the basket nice and secure. So this is an easy project. I would say the most challenging part of it is making sure that we fill in all of these gaps. And I'm going to use Spanish moss for that. And Spanish moss is very messy, but a little can go a long way if you just kind of fluff it up. But we're going to start filling the bottom of this basket. All the way down. I was thinking these would be a great Mother's Day gift. I feel like moms love hydrangeas, at least my mom does. So as we're filling that, we're going to be building off a foam block. And so obviously this block is too big, so we're going to have to size it down. So to do that, first, it's a little too wide. And then based on how this is going from wider to smaller, I'm going to do the same thing with my block. And I apologize, there's no easy way to get through this knowing it's very much like nails on a chalkboard to me. Okay, let's just see. Okay, so this is going to work well. Now, because this block obviously is a very bright color green, we need to cover this. So we're again going to use our Spanish moss. And we're going to cover all but the top and the bottom. Okay, so we're going to start with our first side. So I want to be pretty generous with our moss because we don't want to go through all this trouble and then see this green foam peeking out. It's going to ruin our natural aesthetic if it does. So I am going to be using floral pins to secure it. Floral pins. And I'm just going to put 2 on each side. And do this side next. The floral pins are nice. It's just a way of keeping it secure. That extra little step. Let's do this side. So very messy. I'm glad I'm doing this at the end of my day. There will be some cleanup required here. And now our last side. So when it comes to floral arrangements, I like to use Spanish moss. And when it comes to wreaths, I like to use the preserved green moss. And so this moss I get in, I don't know if it's by the pound. I get it from Amazon, and I'm pretty sure I have this on a subscribe and save. I do go through it quickly when I'm in like the floral arranging mood, which I have been lately. So this is good quality. I always fear for some reason that there's going to be spiders in it. Tell me you have an anxiety disorder without telling me you have an anxiety disorder. Okay, so now we've got our block completely covered. It looks like Swamp Thing pretty much. Oops. add a little pin right here. Okay, so this is going to be our top, and this is going to be our bottom. And so now we're going to slide this in. We want it to be nice and tight. Okay. Kind of pushed some of this moss up when I was doing that. You need the moss to go down with the block. And if we have spots like here that we missed, we can definitely go back at the end and add to it. It's definitely easier though to just get this in place beforehand. I didn't realize this one has like this big gap in it. All right, and so we want the block to be pretty much flush with the rim of this. We don't want it to be taller than it. And because it is in there so snug, that's going to hold it. We don't need any other mechanics to do it. Okay, for this bow, we are going to have 12-inch loops. So I'm going to start by making a tail. And I'm going to measure my ruler 12 inches. And then I'm going to take the burlap and just loop it right behind. Okay, now I'm holding this with my thumb and my pointer finger. Now I'm going to twist, measure another 12 inches, and we'll loop that back around. Okay, so we want to make sure everything is under our thumb and our pointer finger. Okay, now I'm going to take my wire and I'm going to slide it right under where my thumb is. It's upside down. I'm going to twist it nice and tight. And now we're going to put it on a floral pick. So we're not using this first, but I think it's good to just get it all prepped and ready. Okay, so I'm going to take it on my floral pick, and starting at the top, I'm going to wrap this wire all the way down. We run out of wire. And then, just to cover up the mechanics, I really don't think anyone's going to see this, but I can't help myself. We are going to take floral tape, and we're going to cover it up. And floral tape is really adhered more by pressure. It's a tacky material. Flip it over. Okay. So I'm just having this tightly wound around our pick. Okay. Okay, and then one of these tails is too long, so let me just even that out. And for this, because I do want to have a casual look, I just like cutting these at a diagonal. Yeah, I think that looks cute. Okay. So we are going to start off with how most of my recipes start off with, which is my favorite F word, ficus. Okay, and so for each of our ficus, we have 3 branches, okay, and we are just going to clip each of these branches at the base. So important to have good tools. Like these are Greenlee, and they are, I think they're cable cutters. They're not wire cutters. They are excellent, especially if you're somebody who, you know, like your hands cramp up or your wrists. It's so much easier to use tools that are doing the work for you. All right. So we're going to start off with our middle. We're going to start with our high point. So I'm dipping this in my glue pot as I go. And so this is going to kind of determine how high we want this piece to be. Start in the middle and work our way out. And I just want them staggered a little bit. Okay. And then I just want to do 2 more ahead of that. Create a little visual interest. Right now, these are very flat, but we are going to be adding additional greenery. So we're going to be doing like this vibrant pink with purple hydrangeas. And oh my gosh, these things are so beautiful. So we're going to do these in a pattern. All right, so I'm going to start with the pink first. Okay. Okay, the pink first. That right in the middle. Okay, it's up high. I like the foliage on these, so I'm just going to push that up so it shows a bit more. Now we're going to go to our next level. One on the side. And then do one on the other side. Do one in the very front. Okay, now we're filling it in like a pattern. Okay, so we're going to start with the first purple. It's going to be right next to, it's going to be a little staggered, but it's going to be a little bit lower. So this is our high point, high focal point. Repeat. I think whether you're designing a wreath or an arrangement, any of those things, it is always easiest to balance if we just alternate. So we kind of already have our pattern laid out, but we also want to just be alternating. We're going to the lower level. And this is definitely like an indoor-outdoor arrangement. It'll certainly be fine outside, but it would also look really pretty inside. Okay. So we are leaving lots of space. Okay. Now we're going to take our bow, just so that we make sure we're working with it and keeping space for it. And I'm going to put it right here on the side. And this tail is, because this is like the end of the roll, it keeps rolling up, so I'm going to have to steam that. But yeah, it's just a big floppy bow. You know what, actually, I'm going to put it on the other side because I'd rather cover this up. Not that it's a big deal that there's this, but the other side definitely looks nicer, so we're going to go with that. Okay, now we're going to start with our greenery. So we're going to be using two different types of fern. We are going to be using the woodland fern, and then we're also going to be using, this is called mixed fern. And these are pushers, just like in Mean Girls. So I'm going to just gently push these up. And I don't want to do it too quickly, because if you pop the heads off of these, I feel like they don't really get reassembled securely. Like flowers, you just kind of, you know, dip the stem in and put it back in the bloom. But I don't know, with these, I don't trust it. So, all right. I'm going to cut these. And what I like about these greens, they're very versatile. So these are yellow-based greens, okay? So there's like blue-based, and these are yellow. So it has a few different colors on it, different shades of green. It has some hints of yellow, and it's just very, very airy. So I'm going to start at the back. And then I'm going to repeat. I did one corner, now we're going to do the next corner. And you just got to make sure everything's going into the foam. You don't want things to just go into the moss or the basket. Okay. I think I'm going to put one more pink here. And we'll use our greens to make sure that these all look separated, because we don't want it to be too matchy-matchy. And all of these are on wired stems, so it's nice because they're flexible, so you can bend the heads however way you choose. When you think about flowers in nature, they often tilt their heads to go towards the sunlight. And these materials do not break easy, so you don't have to be overly delicate with them. All right, so going to our next level. And these are also good at separating our florals. So I want to make sure that no two blooms are just touching with nothing in between them. Working my way right across. Okay, and now we're going to do our bottom level. Glue hairs, they are like the bane of my existence. Okay, going in between these. Between these. I'm going to move these over. So as you're working, if there's something that just doesn't look right or you don't like the placement, I always say just pull it, because if that's if your instincts are telling you it's not what you want, then I don't think that is going to go away. So for me, I feel like there's just a little bit lacking here on the bottom, that there's too much of the pink like all lined up. So I'm just going to adjust this real quick. Break some of that up. So I don't know when you're watching this video, but it is, if you're watching it like real time, I'm in New Hampshire and it is about to, we're getting ready for a very big snowstorm for tomorrow. I've got my spring wreath out. I'm ready. We had a warm weekend and now Mother Nature is taking it back. I heard we could get as much as 10 inches. And we had a pretty easy winter. But I'm over it. I'm not up for the snow. Not that I have a choice. Alright, so you can see how easily this comes together. Now I feel like, let's count how many materials we've used. Okay, so we have our basket, our foam, all that. And then we've used 2 different types of hydrangeas and 2 different types of greenery. And we have our bow. And you could almost stop here if you wanted. I always like to do a lot with texture. I think texture is, you know, it creates a lot of visual interest. And it also can mean the difference between something looking manufactured or something looking, you know, nice and handcrafted and expensive. So we are going for the expensive look. The texture costs a little bit more, but the right buyer will appreciate it. This is not a big box store special by any means. Okay, now we're going to use our second greenery, which is this mixed bush, and I love this. I love the colors on it. It's very, very like bright and springy and lifelike. There's a lot of plastic greenery that just looks so cheap, and this does not. Okay, so I'm going to find my tallest one here. Okay, and I'm going to push this up. I don't want to be hiding any of the foliage. So starting in the exact same spot. And this is, again, if you've seen other videos, I'm really big on muscle memory. I think it takes away a lot of the stress or pressure when you're designing, because even if you don't know exactly how this is going to turn out, which I never know exactly how something's going to turn out, it does give you a roadmap. And I don't know about you, but when I'm happy and relaxed, I design much better, as opposed to if I have to do something like double door wreaths. They stress me out a bit because I always want to make sure that they are perfectly symmetrical, and that just takes time for me. All right, so we've got our first layer going. Go right here, our second layer. And I like that these are kind of coming out at you. Creates that movement, and it just reminds me of how things really do grow in nature. They don't grow in, you know, perfect little columns or boxes. They're really interwoven. Think about like an English garden. I mean, it's just, that's the beauty of it. It's like, it's a little own symphony. All right. One on the side here. Let's see. let's do one. Even though we have the bow there, I think that there's still a space for this. Okay, and then I always like to have something trailing down just a little bit. I don't want to hide too much of the basket, but I always like a little crawly element here. So we're gonna go with our woodland fern for that, and I'm gonna be giving this a good bend. Let's do it right here in the corner. And then I'm gonna just bend this. See, these things they don't break. All right, so we've got our greenery in place. Now let's do some additional pops of color. I pulled quite a few things. I always over pull, but let me see. I had pulled some pink and purple elements, but now that I'm seeing this all together, I just don't know that we need it. So let's try it without. Okay, I'm so excited. I'm so excited about this new product. I think they're sedums. They're from Pioneer, but like this color is just incredible. It's like chartreuse, it's lime, it's so vibrant. And I just got it yesterday, and I've just been plotting how I'm going to use it. So I'm going to keep these all together, but I am going to try and make sure that each of, these little, I don't know if you want to call them blooms or buds, that all of them are showing. I don't want to waste them. We're going to start in this corner again. Muscle memory. Let me just trim this a little bit more. Ugh, love that. And it actually does a nice job of squaring off the corners. So let's repeat. I have an excess of glue hairs here because my glue pot was off. And if your glue isn't hot enough, you're going to have more of the glue strings. So high temp products, tools are definitely the way to go. They are going to be much more effective at keeping things secured for, extended periods of time. I don't know if you've ever had somebody who says that they've actually had their wreaths melt from their front door. And so if you're somebody who makes to sell, if somebody gives you that feedback, I always go and do extra glue. So in the glue pot is the Surebonder, it's the pellets. Kind of need some, so I'll show you. So yeah, so we have our pellets. And then in my glue gun, I use the Gorilla Glue sticks, which are the best, I think. All right, I think I'm just gonna put a little bit more greenery here. So we'll grab our ficus. I always feel like when there's like an imbalance, usually the quickest way to make a correction is just with the greenery. Making sure that that halo is balanced. On the other side. So I also did one of these, and it's blue, really pretty blue, blue, green, and white. I think that's a great combo too. You know, some people are more into the neutrals. Me, I like to have something on my door that you can't ignore. Us wreath makers, it is like a professional hazard. We have to look at everyone's doors when we're driving around. I think instead of this just looks so dull next to the sedum. So let's take one of these and push it all the way up. And then again, we're going to give this a very hard bend. So it's basically going to be upside down. Try it a different way. When you know things aren't rehearsed, just figuring it out as we go. I know I keep thinking about Mother's Day just because it's coming up, but I also think this would be like a fun thing to do with a mom or a mom figure. I feel like people have so much stuff, and doing something and making memories, I think, is the best gift. I'm not saying that because I'm cheap. Although, if I were, that would be a great argument. Okay, so I like that. I'm going to put another one in. Another one on this side, you can see right here. And this is all where the nitpicking comes in. The nitpicking, the OCD, whatever you want to call it. Perfect. All right, and then we're going to repeat. So I'm going to just use a bend.
You have 2 new notifications.
Oh, no, she's not. Nope. She who shall not be named. I actually yelled at her today. She would not stop trying to sell me things, and it was like infuriating me. And my dogs just watched in horror as I screamed at you know who. She actually once did sell me something without my permission, which is interesting that can happen. But I digress. We're talking about flowers here. Sorry. I think she's probably getting me back by interrupting. How do we feel about this? I think we're better without. Just using our fern. Okay, so I am going to steam this so it's straight. But this is our beautiful hydrangea basket. Let's see. And so obviously, when we hang it, we just untie this. Clearly I wasn't a Boy Scout. All right. Oh, and then we just want to make sure that we don't have any of the foam showing in the back. So we have enough moss, but we don't have, it's just not all in the right spot. So take a moment to, again, just use floral pin. You push that way in so you can't see it. All right, and there we go. So let's see. All right, so here is our final product. We have our hanging basket filled with very vibrant hydrangeas, sedum, greenery, all the good stuff, and our bow. So if you are a maker or if you're just a DIYer and you try out this recipe, please let me know. I'd love to know what you thought of it, and I really appreciate you watching. Thanks so much.